Good afternoon, Gus Birney. Welcome on VH Berries.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am extremely grateful. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just got back to New York from Los Angeles for like 3 months. So it's really nice to be back here, and it's cold, but I love the holiday season here. So I'm so excited to be back home. And where are you? You said you're in Canada, or you're actually close to New York, yes?
Absolutely. I am in Montreal, Canada, and you just mentioned that very powerful word of cold because from the horizon I can hear the whistle that gives the go for the dynamic rhythm in your song Mountain Men that makes me want to be in summer, to be hiking while we are in the cold winter.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That was so poetic. Thank you for listening to it. Thank you.
I would love to discuss about your current project, but especially about your musical work. Can you tell us a little bit more about your latest releases?
Oh, wow. Okay, so actually, Mountain Man specifically, I wrote about 3 or 4 years ago. And I wrote it just in a weird pocket of my life. I think I was like 17 years old or 18, and I don't know. I love writing music. I was in a band in middle school and high school, and it's something that, yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm a rocker chick. Was so nerdy of me. But no, I think so there was Mountain Man, and then this song, Weekend, that kind of, I helped my friend Font Leroy, who's an incredible musician and producer, helped me put together. And basically all of these songs are just like little expressions of my heart. And, the music industry is so competitive, and I don't even know really what I want to do with my music, but just that I love to write it. I love to sing, and, I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes, but I'm so glad that you listened to it, and I'm still writing songs now that I'm kind of trying to work on producing and getting out there. So, but it really means a lot that you listened. So thank you.
Those are little pieces of your heart, as you just mentioned, and
Yeah.
Alternatively, as you also just said, I am walking all the weekend until I sleep away.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's the lines. I don't even really know. I think that song is about so many different things, and now I listen to the lyrics, I'm like, what did I even mean by that? But no, it was it was just, word vomit at the time. So, yeah.
I actually, Gus Birney, have a solution for you. We will need to just ask the people that were around you while you were recording those titles to quote some of them. I saw that you oftenly work with Natalie, Eric, Steve, Adam, Andy, Rich, and John.
Oh, wait, Rich Pagano?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, Rich Pagano, he actually produced Mountain Man, and he is like one of the most amazing, creative human beings that I've ever come across. And he actually helped me write some of my earlier songs that I wrote in like high school, which are like Dreaming and Pick Up the Pieces. And I look at those now and I'm like, my music is so different now. But he is also an incredible musician himself. And I could just go on and on about what a special person he is. But music is so individualized and personal. And so when you find somebody that you feel like understands your brain and the way you work, it's so special. So I will always feel so connected to Rich, and shout out to him right now. Yes.
It is always a special Gus Birney, and I am looking forward for maybe an album. We should definitely bring those 7 musicians that are playing very different categories of instrument together in the
Yes.
studio with you.
Oh my gosh, all of them. I mean, and what's so great is I actually plugging my new show. Well, it's not my new show. I just finished shooting the second season of Shining Vale, which was why I was in California. And I actually get to sing. I got to sing the first season, and I might get to sing on the second season. And so it's just so special when you get to kind of put those two worlds together. And lucky enough, like in a lot of the jobs I've done, the directors or the writers write little moments in for me to sing. And it just means so much to me because it's somebody listening to you and, adding individualized pieces of you into it. So, yes, very exciting. But, yeah.
And Gus Birney, how would you describe the Birney artistical footprint about, for example, your style?
Of music? That was such a great way to say that question. I would say I'm a weird mix of country, folk, indie. I don't know. It's just a collaboration of all of this weird junk into one thing. I really love the Lumineers. I love Of Monsters and Men. I love the Mountain Goats, which is a band my brother showed me. And there's just so many different. I also love the Beach Boys and the Beatles, obviously, and just weird old music concocted. I love Nat King Cole. I think he's incredible. There's just so many nods to different references of old musicians, new musicians put into one. And I guess that's what everyone says about their music, but I really do hope that there's this kind of old-timey feel to my songs. I think music nowadays sometimes all sounds mass-produced and it's gone through a computer. And sometimes it's everything sounds the same. This is a 12-year-old girl that looks like she's 35 and what's happening? But I think it's really cool to have music that gives nods to the old days and classics and when I don't know, romance was in the air. I'm word vomiting again, but I just think, I hope that's what people get when they listen to my music.
And with total respect to all of the characters you portrayed, I would say that Augusta March Birney has better musical taste than Gaynor Phelps, because from the first minutes of that television series called Shining Vale, you are telling your father something very mean. I quote, "Will you please turn off your old person music?"
That's literally my first line of the show. Yeah, I know. Gaynor needed to calm down. It's true.
I would love to transition to that television series that you implicitly mentioned, because it is an important part of your life, Gus Birney, this year, because as you just said, you just came back from Los Angeles, California. Can you tell us a little bit more about what this television series is all about?
Sure. So if you missed the first season, Shining Vale is about kind of a dysfunctional family that moves from New York City to Connecticut after there is some strain on my parents' marriage. I play the daughter, and Courtney Cox and Greg Kinnear are the two parents and stars of the show. And so we moved to this old mansion, and Pat, who Courtney plays Pat, is seeing ghosts or a ghost, and she's not sure if she is possessed or if she's just going through hormonal changes and kind of menopause and women's troubles, as people would say. But and no one else in the family sees these ghosts. So that's kind of the first season, and my character Gaynor is really edgy and weird and angry, and she has kind of been a little bit promiscuous and wild in the past. So they've moved, and she kind of wants to start over and not follow in her mom's footsteps, because her mom used to be kind of a little bit of a party animal. And now she hates her mom, so she wants to be something else. So she joins the chastity club, and she meets this boy, and she tries to get him to like her, and all this stuff happens. I mean, the show is so fun and creative and weird and unlike anything out there. So we finished the first season, and then starting this next season, I was like, how are they going to top the weird roller coaster that this show is? And they did. I mean, Jeff Astroff, who is the showrunner and the creator along with Sharon Horgan, his mind works in a way that's so special and different. And he's one of the fastest, sharpest people I've ever met. And anyone would say that about him. And so it's just every episode topped the next one. And I'm so excited for people to see it. Gaynor really grows up, and she's kind of becoming this woman, and she's dealing with a lot. And she's a different girl than she was last season. That's what I'll say.
Gaynor is growing up and dealing with a lot of personal issues. And to come back to your mother, who is Pat, she's actually in the first season and the 8 episodes trying to complete the second chapter of a novel that is called Cressida Unbound, and now it is called Rebound. And I hope that for your upcoming album you would have a more productive writing process.
Oh, yes, it's true. I hope I don't have the writer's block she is having. Yes, that's also such a big part of the show, is like being a writer and the frustration of being a writer. And there's also all these nods to The Shining and Rosemary's Baby and these weird niche horror films that you probably wouldn't even know. And I wasn't a big horror fan before, and now I feel like I have this well-versed knowledge. But yeah, it's pretty special.
It is pretty special, and there is something else, Gus Birney, that I found very special and that I can read in filigrane. This is the relationship that you may have built on the set with a very special character called Roxy. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, Roxy steals the show. I mean, for those of you who don't watch, Roxy is the family's dog, and her real name is Daisy, and she was just a little diva. She has her own personality. She's amazing. She actually, I haven't worked with dogs before, or animals, really, and I love animals, and I love dogs and cats and everything. But she was so well behaved, and she knew her cues, she knew where to stand. She has her own little personality. She has people always around her fawning over her, and it's really amazing how they train these animals to get the rules and restrictions of being on a set, because they follow them to a T. And she was on it, and she comes back in the second season. She was bumped. She had a pay raise, so she had to come back, of course.
Absolutely, she always has to come back on that show, because Gus Birney, that dog, may have, for example, 4 or 5 assistants. This is the biggest job creator in the entire country.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Gus Birney, your character called Gaynor Phelps, as you just mentioned, is growing to a lot of personal challenges. But I would summarize all of this with one word that she pronounced herself, which is emancipation. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
The first season, one of the lines is she jokes about being emancipated. And honestly, maybe she's not joking, because she really cannot stand her mother for the first half of the season. And the first season, spoiler alert, cut out if you don't want to know how the first season ends, but she hospitalizes her mother because her mom tries to kill her dad with an axe. So, it makes sense. But she was kind of possessed at the time, so it does make sense. But, does it? But she cannot stand her mother, and I think she just wants to have every separation possible and thinks she can, live her life on her own. I don't know if she was actually considering getting emancipated, but, she's like 17 now, so she's got like one more year to go before she's like an adult. But, I think it's really hard being a teenager and having a good relationship with your parents. I was really close with my mom and my dad growing up, but I definitely was a challenging kid, and I was, but I wasn't like rebellious. I was more like worried and nerdy and like sensitive and crying all the time. So, they were probably like, please get out. I was the one that was like, I need you. So yeah, I'm, all over the place. But basically, I think in the second season, Gaynor's relationship with her parents is different than the first season in a lot of ways. But you'll see as it plays out, like, it's just, I think it captures that mother-daughter relationship so well. And it's just so relatable. So, yeah.
This is very relatable, Gus Birney. And one trait of your character, Gaynor, personality, is also her sarcasm, but also her scientific thinking process. Let me explain. Because, for example, at dinner time, when there are no phones allowed at the table, they are in reality allowed because there is no table.
It's true. She's so smart. She's very sharp. I would not have thought to say that. Let me tell you. I would have been like, okay, sure.
You just mentioned, Gus Birney, that you yourself personally also went on multiple challenges during your journey, and I would love to retrace it. Can you tell us a little bit more about how it got all started, starting in the place you are already right now, which is New York City?
Right. So I grew up, both my parents are actors, and I grew up in New York, and my dad was very much a theater actor growing up, and my mom took 15 years off to kind of raise my brother and I. And I don't know, I wasn't a very good student at all. I was not a very, I just didn't dedicate the time. I think I loved playing with Barbies and dressing up, and I just was like off in La La Land. So I was never a very good student, and I think it was in 6th grade, my acting teacher, Mr. McClellan, thank you, Mr. McClellan, cast me in Much Ado About Nothing, which is a Shakespeare play, for those of you who do not know. And I was Hero. And it was the first time that somebody had really kind of taken the time to notice me for something special, and that I was like awarded something. And I was like, I was always the kid that was kind of blending into the scenery. And, nobody ever took that kind of notice of me. So getting that part, I think, was like the catapult of just being like, oh, somebody thinks I'm good at something. And then, when someone thinks you're good at something, then you're like, well, maybe I am good at something. And I slowly fell in love with it more and more as I got older, and I developed, and I kind of figured out what it was. And I'd watched my parents doing it, and they very much were not people that were like pushing us in one way or the other. I think they wanted us to blossom however we wanted. I say we because my brother, who's 3 years older than me, also is an actor. So, it seems like my parents have like pushed us to become weird artist people, but no, we very much both developed this passion on our own, and it's something that yeah, so I went to performing arts schools, and then I actually dropped out of school at 16 because I was like, I think I want to be an actor. I have an agent. I'm kind of working, and let me do this. And then I got my GED, which is like, I tell people now, and they're like, what were you doing? That's bonkers. And it kind of is. But I don't know. I had this weird blind faith that I kind of hope that I wish that I had more of that now. I mean, at 16, I was just like, okay, I'm dropping out of high school. But now I'm like, what was I thinking? But it's been pretty good since then. I mean, I did a show in Canada called The Mist, which was on this network called Spike. And then I've done these little guest spots in films and Dickinson, which was incredible. I sound like I'm humble bragging, and I'm not trying to. But the point is, it's been like a very good so far journey that definitely has highs and lows. But, I think that's what this career is. And the sooner that you can kind of embrace that there's going to be the lows is the sooner that you can find peace. And, doing Shining Vale has been like this amazing, special experience that I hope continues for a good chunk of time. But, I really do. I think I'm like a serial faller in love, or whatever the word is. But every job that I've had so far, I feel like lucky enough to fall in love with. And they're like people almost in my head where I'm like, oh, that was such a romantic experience for this reason and this reason. And I just feel so lucky. And that's really the moral of the story here, is that I feel very lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
And Gus Birney, I now have some visions. You just mentioned your brother, who is also acting, called Ephraim Birney. And I feel that you have a very connected relationship with your brother. He is maybe at the same time your best friend and sometimes your public enemy number one.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say public enemy. I like that that's what people think. No, he is totally my best friend. We're very similar. I would say Ephraim is like me minus as much fear as I have. I'm a very anxious person, and he's like this. He came out of the womb and was like this confident, wonderful, one of a kind. He reminds me of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. But yeah, he is unbelievably talented, and actually just finished doing a play with my dad called Chester Bailey, which for New Yorkers went up at the Irish Rep. And it's this magnificent piece of work by Joe Dougherty. And I could go on and on about it, but it's a 2-person show, and it was just seeing my dad and my brother on stage together. It's an experience that I hope everyone gets to have one day, which I know they won't, but like it touched the deepest parts of my heart. And yeah, I mean, my brother is one of a kind, truly. So yeah.
Ephraim Birney is one of the kind, and I cannot imagine how happy you were to see Ephraim playing next to Reed Birney. And in theater, this is a place that is also not strange for you, because you will be putting yourself in the scene at the beginning of next year. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm going to do a play at BAM, and it's called The Sign in Sidney Brustein's Window. And Oscar Isaac is starring in it, and Rachel Brosnahan. I mean, and I haven't even met them yet. We actually start the workshop tomorrow, and I'm so excited. I'm so nervous. I haven't done a play since I was 17, and I did The Rose Tattoo with Marissa Tomei at Williamstown with my mom. And so, yeah, I mean, it's terrifying doing a play because it's a vulnerability that you don't experience every day. But I just can't even tell you how excited I am, and how special and honored I feel to get to play this part.
Absolutely, Gus Birney. I saw, as you just mentioned, that this play is called The Sign in Sydney Bruchstein's Windows. And from what I hear from your voice, Gus Birney, I feel that you already repeated that names at least 2,000 times because you have so much confidence when you're saying it.
Oh yeah, well it's a wordy title. It's by Lorraine Hansberry, who actually she wrote Raisin in the Sun, which that is the play she's kind of known for. And I had a meeting with the director yesterday, and just basically it's so special because it's like bringing focus to a different side of her and more of her work that people don't really know about and is so prevalent in this time and this day and age. And you know, they had done, I think, a production of it out of town in like 2017, and it just holds such a different meaning now, post Trump and post, you know, just what's going on in the world, and how it's a play that needs to be heard right now, and so I'm very honored.
It's a play, Gus Birney, that needs to be heard right now. And the Orvey Theatre is located inside the BAM Strong, BAM. And I would like to start with the unique anatomy of that venue in which you will be playing, because there are so much influences, and there is what I can call the Doric, Ionic and Corinthian steel column that looks very ancient.
Oh, I mean, the character is, it's funny, she doesn't come in until like the end of the play. So it's like an hour and a half really of like, will be me sitting backstage worrying pretty much. But when she does come in, she's the sister of the main woman who Rachel's going to play. And she is very complicated. She's, I don't want to give too much away because I do feel like the play, you know, when you see it, it'll speak for itself. But I really have the thing that I care the most about when I look at a character is like finding that vulnerability, because that's just it's my default. I think we're all on this planet and we're like, what are we doing? And when I can find vulnerability in somebody else and they feel as like genuine and connected to like what is happening as I do, then I'm like, oh, I see you and I understand you. And so I feel like I understand this character in a new way. And I really can't wait. I mean, we'll see how I do, but yeah.
We will see how you do, Gus Birney. And in your own words, how would you describe the storyline of that play, and especially your specific character that is going to appear at the very end of the play?
Well, so it's like I said, Gloria, she's the sister of Iris, who's married to Sydney, and it's really Sydney and Iris's play. Well, it's really Sydney's play. But I would really just say it's very political. It's weird. It's about so many different things all concocted into one, and I couldn't really put it into one sentence. And that's why you just have to go see it. But I will say that Gloria, she is actually a prostitute, and she's going to get married and thinks she's going to get married, but has lied to the man she's going to marry and said that she's a model. And so he finds out, and he actually decides not to marry her because of that. And so my scene, I come into the play and discover that, and it's kind of the repercussions of finding that out. And so things take a turn. And it's really like my piece is its own mini play inside the play, and it's really beautiful. And her writing is it really is such an exquisite piece. So, you know, you just have to come see it. I think it starts in February, which is crazy, and far, and also not that far away.
Absolutely, Gus Birney. And I can see in the future, and I am making some suggestion. Would you see yourself, because you were on the stage of the theater and you have these skills of singing that we saw in the past and also in the series, because you were singing in the church as a choir, how would you look at opera?
Opera? Oh my gosh. I mean, I would love to do a musical. I did musicals in high school. Opera, I don't think I'm good enough for opera, but I'd love to do a musical. That's funny. Yeah, I would do Phantom of the Opera. Does that count as an opera? I'm going to say yes.
We're going to say that it counts, and the next year that is coming is looking very inspiring on your side. What are your other plans and your vision for what is coming next?
Oh, I mean, I'm so excited for the new year. I have another film that's coming out. It's called Happiness for Beginners, and it's coming out on Netflix, I think in the new year. And that's with Ellie Kemper and Luke Grimes and and Nico Santos and all these incredible people. And I'm so excited about that. So that's coming out. And I just think, doing the play will be, it will be such a special experience, as I said. But, and working on my music and writing, and that is such a special part of my heart. So I hope I have some time to do that. And just growing up. I'm looking to buy an apartment. So we'll see if I find something. It's very competitive in New York. It's hard to get an apartment.
You are going to leave Ephraim alone, and I am looking forward to see Happiness for Beginners and trying to find some pieces of advice to be more happy. Thank you very much, Gus Birney.
Thank you so much. Seriously, this has been great.